of the Bridgewater Finance Committee at 7 p.m. on March 30th. Our first order of business is approval of the meeting minutes. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to take a look at them. Any motion?
Motion to approve.
Sorry.
Sorry, MJ.
So what, MJ first, Eric second, Josh?
Yep, I'll take the second.
All right.
Perfect.
And Josh, will you do a quick roll call?
Yep. Nate,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
MJ,
Aye.
Rig,
Aye.
Kathy.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Hey, Julie, is that you? 508-245?
I think they're on mute if it is.
Okay, because sometimes she comes in with a phone number.
Yeah,
All right,
that's me. It's me. Thank you,
Okay.
Eric.
Okay.
Both of you, actually.
That is you, Julie. Okay, great. All right, our next order of business is public comment. If we do have any public comment, I ask that you state your name and your street address. Public comments. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Okay, no public comments. Is Tony joining us, Josh?
He should be, yes.
Okay. All right, well, we'll move on to the first order of business. It's a pretty easy one for us, a pretty standard. So new business order FY 22-054, acceptance of safe program grants. See, so it's a fire grant, student awareness fire education for fire prevention education program designed to equip elementary, intermediate, and high school students with the skills for recognizing the dangers of fire, including fire risk posed by smoking related materials. The senior safe grant is for $3,055. And there's another fire prevention program designed to improve the fire and life safety of older adults in the community through education that addresses unique fire risks this age group. Seems to be pretty self-explanatory. Does anybody have any comments, questions on this? What's for? I mean, obviously it's a grant, free money, so to speak.
Motion to approve, Eric.
Second.
Second, Chris.
All right, Josh, if you could do a roll call, please.
Nate,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Susie,
Aye.
MJ,
Aye.
Rig,
Aye.
Kathy.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. All right, the next one is FY 22-055, contractual buyout. Pretty self-explanatory, contractual buyout for recently approved retirements. And it looks like we will be transferring to the general fund to pay off these the fire department's salaries. Do we have any questions, comments on this? I know we've discussed these contractual buyouts in the past.
Just so I understand, this is a one-time payment, right? If I'm not mistaken, it's not part of the, like a pension.
Yes. Now, if correct me if I'm wrong on this, I know because new employees are not hired with any of the buybacks that they used to have to do in the past, Rig. And so this is buyout, so we're catching up essentially, or phasing out that with some of the older employees. Now, my understanding is that this is a one-time payment to them. Does anybody think differently?
No, that's my understanding as well.
Okay.
But yeah, so I had a question because I know you said that we had done this before. So is this like when certain individuals retire that have this, that's when we actually do this? So we don't like plan in advance, we just wait for them to announce their retirement and then we do this?
Yeah, Eric, you can probably help me out with this too, but if I remember correctly, we set up this liability fund, this employee liability fund for this reason, right, Eric?
Yeah, so, and I know that Tony's joining right now, so
Oh, there
it
he
may
is.
be sense to ask him, but yes, that's correct. We had started to plan to put stuff aside for that.
Knowing that it was coming. Tony, just to catch you up, we're just discussing the contractual buyout.
Yep.
And Rick had asked the question if this is one time.
Yes, again, the employee in front of you, what department?
Fire,
Yeah.
right?
Yep, is in fact that, and this is the appropriation to put away the monies to take care of it. It says take care of that complete obligation.
Okay, and to Kathleen's question again, I think, we had said, this was anticipated in the past. Kathleen,
Yes.
that we, yep,
So what we did when we did our allocation of free cash back in the fall, if you recall, we put well over $500,000 into the fund that we will use and draw on. We'll do the same thing coming this fall. We know that we have a number of retirements that are going to take place, and we need to meet those obligations. So it's part of our kind of our surplus planning that we want to have at the end of each fiscal year, so we can take care of these long-term liabilities.
Thanks. So as like other people retire, then we would do another transfer.
Correct. We just got notification of a fire captain that will be retiring, and then we go through the process of calculating what's on the books, and you would get another order. And so there are a number over the next few years that are going to retire. We're really shifting the overall population of our police and fire departments. There's a number of them on the police side. At 65, you must retire. On the fire side, there's just a number of individuals that are eligible and will be retiring. So this is going to be something over the next 2 or 3 years that we're really going to have to manage.
and do we know how many total in the future employees at this point?
Well, here's the thing. We do every year, part of our financial statement, and we can give you a quarterly update of what our total liabilities for expected retirees, but we have over $1 million on the books, right? $1 million and a quarter. You've probably seen 3 orders or so over the last several months, right? We can see this captain's retiring. We can see our fire chief in a couple of years, he could be retiring. We have our captain in the police department, plus another individual detective. So again, there's a population that have had most of them have like close to 30 years or so, plus age. So we knew this liability was coming. We record it, we're aware of it, and we plan as best we can. In the past, just so you know, what they do is they try to force the department to make cuts in their budget in order to absorb those retirement costs. We've set a practice since I came on board of trying to keep the operational budget separate from these particular liabilities and plan accordingly. And as of today, we haven't had to use any of the operating budget to do that. We've used reserves, and we're going to continue to try to do that so we don't disrupt what the funding requirement is to meet the current staffing plan for both police and fire. And again, I speak to them because if you add those 2 budgets together, you're talking $12–13 million. And it's the majority of the retirement liability.
Okay, thank you, Tony. So, anybody else have any further questions for Tony? The chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to
So
approve.
moved.
Second.
Okay, we're to hear Eric and MJ there. Josh, if you could do a roll call, please.
Nate,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Susie,
Aye.
MJ,
Aye.
Rig,
Aye.
Kathy,
Aye.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
All right, thank you, everyone. All right, moving on to the next item, which is old business. FY 22-019, proposed ordinance, acceptance of a local tax option, retail marijuana tax. I just want to make sure that I focus minds, including my own, on this. We are the Finance Committee. Our job here is to rake a recommendation on a potential revenue stream. All right. I did reach out to Mr. Wood. He had a conflict tonight. He couldn't make it with us. We did all receive a memorandum from the town manager also. And so having said that, I will open up the floor. Any comments, questions, thoughts?
No, I just, I'll share with the committee because I had shared it with, not trying to violate open meeting laws. I had talked with my councilman, who was Councilman Eric Moore, in precinct 1, just asking him so that I truly understood what the ask was. And I shared this a little bit, I think, with Julie and maybe Nate, separately, not violating open meeting laws, but separately. And what Bill Wood had sent to us is a tax if recreational marijuana is legalized in Bridgewater. So the vote, as I understand it, or the recommendation from Mr. Wood, has nothing to do with legalizing marijuana or not. It has to do with the fact that there is a ruling that's going to come out of the state, nothing to do with Bridgewater, that may immediately make medical marijuana dispensaries legal to sell recreationally. And because we don't have a tax in place today, this can happen no matter how we feel about marijuana. That is totally off to the side, with or without a vote. And therefore, if we don't vote in a tax rate, and I don't fully understand this, I will ask Tony to interject at the end here. But as I understand it, we could miss out on tax revenue that we should be getting if legalized. And I don't know how long that goes for, or what the end penalty is. But I think that's why Mr. Woods had sent it to us. That is the information I got from my town councilman, and I just wanted to share that additional conversation with the team here. So, Tony, I guess.
I think Mr. Dutton, Town Manager Dutton, was really to the point in his correspondence. I don't know if Nate, you could read that. Not that everyone hasn't read it, but I think the last few lines in that correspondence speak to why you would take action now, given that there is still a case before the JMLC. Again, excuse me for the acronym if I'm incorrect there, but it's in that correspondence. The bottom line is you're voting on assessing a tax if the state, after it's ruling on a particular case that's before them, establishes the guideline and protocol that says the existing dispensaries, we only have 2 right now, they would become, at least one is licensed to become eligible to.
Is he frozen for anyone else, or am
Yeah,
I
I
the
think
frozen
Yeah,
one?
he's cutting out.
Okay.
Yeah. Tony, I don't
Who's
know if you
tuning
can.
out? I am?
Yeah, Tony,
we
yeah, you
lost
just,
you after
I'm so
yeah,
sorry.
we
I
lost
don't-
you after you said we only have 2 dispensaries.
yep, exactly.
All right, so thank you for that. There's,
We just lost you again.
Tony, maybe try turning off your video.
You might have to log out and come back in.
Yeah, let me try again. I just tried another connection. How's that? Is that any better?
Yeah,
Yeah.
give it a try.
Oh, all right, give it a shot. I did check my connection. So there's two medical marijuana dispensaries. Are you aware of that in the town of Bridgewater?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
One of them received licensing, so they produce and they sell, right? One of them has already received licensing to not only to produce additional marijuana that they can sell as a wholesaler to other retail establishments, right? The other one only produces for their own medical sales. They did not go to the state to try to obtain additional license to produce in order to sell wholesale. If the state, here's this case and says, no, those existing medical dispensaries who have been granted the right to produce and sell both medically and wholesale can now sell retail. This just says when that decision is made, this 3% tax would be put in place. If that is voted in the negative and they're not allowed to sell retail, then the tax is still in place, but there's nothing to tax because there are no retail sales. It's that simple. So in no way does this give any sort of merit to retail sales. Does it impact the decision that's before the state judicial system? Nothing. This is a standalone decision that if in fact that does come true, then this then applies and we would be in a position to start to receive 3% on the retail sales. And that's what's before you, that decision.
And then
Okay,
Tony, would we
Yeah.
have, sorry,
Go ahead, Susie, right?
okay. Would we as a town have the opportunity to impose an additional local tax?
No, that's the total maximum that we can impose. That's our local 3%.
Okay, and that would be for any city or town that's looking at this today, that,
Yes.
okay. And then I guess it sounds like if we, so if we were to say no at this point in the future, if this were, we would not have an opportunity to impose a local tax?
I think the question that is in question. And I think that if you looked at the, again, the memo from the town manager, I think this ensures, I think his language, like this ensures that we have in place this statute, this acceptance so that we can. I can't speak to it. What if it's not? And I would just say this, that they could then, under the law, begin to sell, and therefore we wouldn't have this in place. And therefore any sales that did occur, we couldn't tax until we took action to establish this.
Okay, this is Julie. So I questioned that both with Eric and Nate in separate conversations as well, and at various meetings that we've had, because reading Mike's thing, Mr. Dutton, it says to ensure that we
That's
don't
right.
forfeit it. So I sent an email, my response to him privately, which I think I can share since I sent it, was thank you for this information. I'm still not sure we forfeit the right to set a tax rate when and if we're required to allow the sale of retail marijuana. Where is that stated? His response was, if I get your question correctly, we can set the quote unquote local option tax 3% at any time, regardless
Yes.
of if and when a retail facility is allowed to open.
There's your answer. And again, this is a proactive step versus a reactive step.
Right. I mean, there was more about something about, do you know anything about this? It says, oh, I don't know Bill's thinking. I'm guessing his assumption is the mitigation money, which is also up to 3%, will dry up when the state legislature votes changes to the marijuana.
Well, there is
What's
a
the
fact.
mitigation money?
There is a fact there. So what's happened is we've received mitigation because mitigation is in fact a revenue stream that says you are going to be impacted, your community, because you have these new establishments, and they may have demand on your police, you might have demand on your fire, it could also have other demands on your community. We don't know exactly what those demands are going to be, but and this works from the state down. And the communities have the right to negotiate with the medical marijuana dispensaries a contract under these guidelines. And in fact, we've done that. Now, what's been happening is each and every year since retail and recreational marijuana has become available, these individuals who have these mitigation agreements have a group that lobbies at the state and saying, we need relief from these mitigation agreements, because in fact, there's really nothing to be mitigated, and you're taxing us now. You're taxing us on the retail at the state level and at the local level, and justify for us what this mitigation amount of money is really for.
So,
Hi. Sorry, Julie. Sorry, Susie. Go ahead.
So that challenge exists. So what's happening is that mitigation money will end up being reduced, if not eliminated. So right now we're around, with the total revenue we're generating for these two dispensaries, approximately, this year was approximately $300,000, right? We're using that to run our operating budget. If that ends up going away, then in fact, we will have lost revenue and we'll have to find a way to replace it. So I'm always looking at, I'm very conservative. If there's an opportunity to tax, whether you like retail marijuana or not, let's get that tax in place. We have a mitigation tax here that could dry up. I can see the writing on the wall. It'll eventually dry up. And my recommendation is take action now versus wait later. Period. Financially. Marijuana, retail marijuana in general, that's a political and personal discussion. That's not what's before you.
right.
If it
What
was that
before
simple,
you
I don't know why it
is
was deferred to us in
Real
the first
simple
place.
is whether or not you want to impose a tax.
Yeah, and
Town
I
council
think it's
couldn't
fair
make
that
that
the,
decision without our recommendation,
They need a recommendation one way or another.
only because they deferred it to us. They could have voted without our recommendation, right? If it's that
I
plain
know of
simple.
no, they have traditionally put financial questions to both the subcommittees and the finance committee. Again, you're getting into nuance,
fine.
you're getting
That's
into, and I will say this lastly, and then I won't say anything else. This is a financial decision. It's being put for you as a finance decision. All we ask is that you act on it.
Correct. And yet the mitigation only came up in response to my,
And
question.
I'm just shedding light on that because you did shed light on the fact that
Correct.
mitigation
okay.
is part of our current revenue stream.
Susie, if you could hold on 1 second, I know Rig's been trying to say something, and then we'll go
Hi,
back
Rig.
to you. So go ahead, Rig.
So I guess, thank you. I totally understand, that this is a finance, related initiative on our part, that's before us. I think, I don't, from my understanding and the sense that I have is that neither one of us on this call, and I'm just making my own observation, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we are objecting the opportunity to bring in the revenue and having that infrastructure in place. I think for me personally, I think the question is, are we putting the cart before the horse? Because if and please correct me if I'm wrong, I guess this is the question.
Rick, do you want an opinion on that, an honest opinion? If you
Just
do,
give me
I'll
1
give it to
second.
you.
Just give me 1 second, Tony. Let me just finish my
Certainly.
thought. Have we voted? Has the finance committee voted before on matters related to finance, of course, before having full information, and the state making approval of certain things? I guess I'm just, that's just my hesitation.
Do you want me to
Go
answer
right
that?
ahead, Tony.
I first of all, you do have full information. You're voting on assigning a tax. You're not voting on whether it's legal, unlegal. You're not voting on the timing of it. You're not voting on any of that. And quite frankly, I think it's skirting the issue. And I'm not political. I've tried to stay not political, but I can't add any other value to this conversation. And this is really going to be your conversation. What's before, if you want to be political, you should be a council member. If you want to make decisions on finance, you should be a finance committee member. And I will leave it at that because I can't add any additional value.
His
You'll have-
question was, have
you'll
we
have-
voted
you'll
on
have to come.
74?
You'll have to come to your own decision on it. So I leave it with you, Mr. Chairman and Vice Chairman.
That's because I was thinking about that very question. And then Eric, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we have, like, looking back on the old hotel tax. Didn't we set up a local revenue? And we didn't have a hotel in town at that time. We knew one was coming, more than likely. So, I guess the answer to that question is yes. Very.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I just wanted to understand, if would we be setting precedent? But it sounds like we've voted before.
Well, I would suggest that operating hotels aren't illegal where currently selling marijuana retail is. So there is a difference there.
So if I can, Mr. Chairman, I have a hard stop. I'm going to ask, I have 4 minutes. If there's any other questions, I'll be happy to answer it, but I have a hard stop at 7:30.
Actually, can I just double back to the remediation? Is that what it was called?
Mitigation, yeah.
I mean, sorry, the mitigation. Yeah, the mitigation piece. So I just want to make sure I understood you correctly, Tony. So you're saying that there has been in place this agreement, right?
Yes.
With this new tax, potential new tax, those agreements would go away?
No, not initially.
Okay,
no.
that's the part I got confused on.
That is
So,
correct.
Because I'm
What
glad
we-
that part got brought up. So yeah, if you could just clarify that, thank you.
Yeah, and what we envision, again, I do watch the politics. It's like a movie. I've been through this stuff for over 20 years, so I've watched this movie a long time. That mitigation will eventually be gone. It just will. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Okay, I guess I was just wondering, is the mitigation related to this tax in any way?
No, it
Okay.
was a way to give the town some sort of revenue to offset what was a perceived impact due to marijuana, whether it be through a medical marijuana or retail marijuana. It's saying the social impact, the economic impact on the local community, and the impact on policing. And so that's what mitigation is.
Yep, definitely understood that part.
Okay.
I guess what I kind of am feeling from the group though is like, was there still that concern about like the open question was sort of that, and again, not for a political reason, but more so like if it was not voted on and we missed that window of being able to agree to the 3% tax, it does not sound like we would have an opportunity down the road to impose a local tax once we found out if there was indeed going to be this additional legislation passed.
No, as a finance director, no, actually, that's not the case. Julie has been clear on that. She spoke with Michael and Michael's been clear on that. So that's not the case. I want to make sure that's clear. I have 1 more minute. What I will say is I talked to town council. I had my own conversation with town council on this, and he has expressed exactly what I have expressed to you. Look, you can delay it for any reason that you want. That's your right. And that's what we have government for in democracy. As a finance director, I'm saying take a vote one way or another and let the decision stand. And whether or not that becomes a viable tax or not, let us work that out when that happens. And we'll be prepared to do it and handle it internally as the finance department. And that's really the only thing I think I have left to add.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Eric, I
welcome.
see. And if you gotta go.
Thank you,
let-
guys.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you. for your
Thank
time.
Thank you.
Eric, you
Thank
got your hand raised?
Yeah, thank you, Nate. I think Tony kind of summed it up for me, right? Like whether we vote for it or against it, it's, do we want the revenue if it's legalized is the question. And I think we're not going to get any additional information. I think personal feelings are not going to change. And I'll be honest with everybody because I plan on making a motion tonight to vote on this one way or the other, whether it passes or fails. If marijuana is legal, then we should take the taxes as a town. And that's without a vote. It's without personal opinion. It's without whether or not I believe in marijuana or not. It's, to me, if the state passes a bill that has nothing to do with Bridgewater, the town of Bridgewater at all, and all of a sudden it's legalized, then to me, as a finance committee member, I would like to take the benefit of that tax.
Right, and I would like to take the benefit at the time that it becomes legal. Like, then we can vote on, they said we could vote on it at another time. So that's where I'm leaning towards.
And Eric, I think the rub for, and I can't speak for everybody else, but like, for instance, it's this, which still feels a little fuzzy. And I know, I feel like I've asked it like 3 different ways, but it's sort of like, it's one thing to vote on that part, which I actually would support. The issue is sort of like, would we be able to add an additional, or if we didn't, in lieu of that, could we actually impose a higher tax if it did become legal? So it sounds like we can't, or I'm just not 100% sure. So
No, Tony said, with 3% is max, period.
Yep.
yeah, so, all right.
But so if I can add, we've talked about this, I think, a couple times now. So I definitely agree. If it's legal, then we should get the revenue. But I also think that taking a vote now before it's legal sends a message that we're endorsing it. And that you may or may not agree with that statement, but that's my interpretation. And we also received some public comment that they did not want us to do that. So I just think if they pass the bill tomorrow, we can reconvene and we can agree to do the tax. I just don't see what the hurry is, because we're pretty good at getting together. So that's my comment.
In addition to that, I guess I would add that if I heard Tony correctly, that we're currently receiving some level of financial, maybe it's not the right word, but
The mitigation funds.
Mitigation money,
yes. So, it's not impacting us today, and like everyone else, let me just speak for myself. I would absolutely support, additional revenue coming into town. I mean, that revenue could be used for a lot of things, but I just feel like we're putting the cart before the horse. I don't see the need to rush to vote tonight. I think let's just wait to see what the state does. If it is passed statewide, then I think it's pretty easy for us to reconvene and then take a vote then. I certainly want to respect both sides of the fence, and me personally, I'm not trying to politicize this. I don't care for marijuana one way or another, but certainly the revenue is something that is of importance to the town, and I understand that. But at the same time, we do have public comments that was already mentioned, who said, hey, let's hold off on this. And I think, I certainly don't want to set a precedent or, some type of, the folks on this finance committee, or at least myself, is in support of marijuana in this town. And does this create a gateway for retail sale, even though at this point it is not before, retail sale is not a concern, but does it create a gateway for retail sale down the road if we were to make a decision right now? Just a thought.
No, it does not. I mean, I think, and trust me, I think I have voiced this before as well. I am not a fan or proponent of expanding retail marijuana, but I would actually vote to support voting for this tax. That is our role here. And, unfortunately, you're probably right that I think that there will be others in this community that would be upset to hear about that, but it needs to be really clear. This is not going to affect whether or not we would expand retail marijuana here. We don't have control over, do you get what I mean? Like if the state decides to pass it, that the dispensary or the 1 or 2 that actually can, we cannot stop that. But what we can do is get the tax benefit from it. So
At any time.
I'm not sure about the anytime
That's
part.
what-
I guess
that's what Mike
I
said.
think
You
that's
hear
the
what
part
you
we don't
wanna
have the
hear,
full picture
Susan.
on, right? We don't have the
You
full
hear what
picture
you
on
want to
that.
hear.
And I will say too, you know, I did speak with Council Wood in the capacity of the Budget Subcommittee. And one thing that he did say to me is that, you know, one reason they were going to keep it open, so to speak, was so when it does come, they can move on immediately.
Well,
So I don't know. I don't even know if they're going to do a formal vote, to tell you the truth, on this anytime soon. But that's just my impression. I don't know if that's actually what they plan on doing.
They could also vote the opposite of us, right? We make a recommendation, but they don't have to.
That's right.
Follow
They're the legislature. They're elected by the people of the town. That's correct. We make recommendations. We don't make legislature.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, MJ.
I'd like to make at least a couple of, put out a couple of thoughts here on my take on this. First and foremost, I feel like we've belabored this issue as far as we possibly can. If we want to defer it and hold off until such time as it's appropriate to take the vote on it, fine, by all means. I'm totally okay with that. My big concern is that folks are starting to attack each other or start to, seem like they're a little bit out of place in, making a statement when someone else says something. Case in point, with Tony, I feel like he was being interrupted when he was explaining things. Mind you, even though he was being interrupted, my concern is that interruption made it seem like we were trying to rush along the issue. If we are trying to consider this in a way that is measured, logical, and careful, then we should hear a person until they finish. And as such, when Tony was trying to finish his thought and make that statement that he was trying to explain something, he was still being interrupted. My second concern is that the town manager was not here tonight to further elaborate upon the memorandum he issued. I read it, I understood it, I appreciate that he wrote it. But I certainly would have liked to have heard it from Mr. Dutton himself as well, because there could have been further elucidation on the matter itself. And I appreciate that, Councilor Wood said that he wasn't able to make it. But because this is an issue that he has been a part of, and if I remember correctly, the measure was put forward by Mr. Wood in council, I too would have liked to have seen or heard Mr. Wood say something about this measure so that we could try to expedite this matter to either a yes, no, or an abstention vote, or a suspend the vote until such time as it becomes logically feasible to vote on it. At this point, in my opinion, and it may sound callous, but it's going to be absolute candor, I feel like if we take a vote tonight, fine and dandy. If we don't take a vote tonight, also fine and dandy. I know there are elements in town that are going to be disappointed in both. As it stands right now, we are in an impasse. So either we take the vote now to approve or not, or hold off. At this point, we've belabored it. I feel like we need to just move the question and take the vote.
All right, thank you, MJ. Appreciate your thoughts.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Comments, questions, thoughts? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the tax of 3%. Eric.
Second, Chris.
All right, so we have a first and a second. Josh, if you'll do roll call, please.
Nate,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Julie,
No,
Chris,
Aye.
Susie,
Aye.
MJ,
Aye.
Rig,
Of course, I'm gonna vote yes. Yes.
Kathy.
No,
Thank you. The motion was approved.
All right, thank you, everyone. I do appreciate everybody's time and effort on this one. So one more thing before we go, Rig actually had a chance to tour the fire department, and he would just like to spend a few minutes, and we'll do this under additional business. He would just like to spend a few minutes talking about what he learned. So Rig.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Nate and Eric, for the time. So I just wanted to share with you guys. I know we've already, voted on this, and I'm glad that that we voted yes on this. But certainly, I wanted to come back with some information that I thought folks may be interested in. So I toured yesterday with with Chief McDermott, and we toured HQ. Let me just say that it is completely inadequate of a fire station to meet the demands of what a true firefighting operation should be. As you know, firefighters, they do heroic acts not just fighting fires, but certainly involving car wrecks, search and rescue, and so many other things. My observation of HQ was that it really lacked adequate space, not only for the people that are currently working there, the in and out, folks that are, the rotating shift. It certainly lacked space, for the equipments, like my observation was that, some of the engines were nearly touching the roof, which I was really scratching my head seeing this. And of course, there's, it was drafty, it was cold, damages that were caused by animals, inclement weather, etc. At one point, I made a comment to the chief. I said, "Man, this looks like a car service garage, like a mom and pop car service garage, just given the size and how how it looked to me." And then from there, we went on to tour Station 2. And, obviously Station 2 is a much newer, certainly has the space, for the equipment, also for the men and women who represent our fire department. But I did see the ditch in the asphalt, and of course in the back of that station where it was not paved. I was a little deterred by that. I just felt like it was an incomplete job, that at the time it was built. It just mind-boggling that they didn't finish it. And of course I'm sure finances played a key role into it. And then from there, the chief brought me around where we looked at a number of condos, a number of new businesses. I mean, there's a lot of activity that's going on in our town, and a lot of new activity that's coming to our town, which obviously elevates the risk factor, when you're talking about, more people living in town, more businesses that are in town, more traffic in town. So I'm truly glad that, that we took the vote a few weeks ago and we voted to pass this. I'm truly excited that, in the next couple of years that our fire station, and the men and women who represent this town, will certainly have the space, the adequate space, and the technology, and the, and the things that they need, in order to do the work that they do each day. So I just wanted to share this with you guys. The chief did say one thing, though. He said, of the invitation that he's extended to a number of people, he believes that I was the only one who took advantage of it. So you guys missed out. It was a great time, just getting the information, seeing it for myself, really feeling good about, man, what, my vote mattered, when it came to, to us deciding to approve our town having a new fire station.
Honestly, I tried to go, but I didn't know where to park. I saw you out front with them.
Oh,
and
you
I
was
didn't
there?
know. Yeah, like I drove around the block and then I was afraid to park in CVS. I didn't know where to park, which is kind of a sad story. And then by the time I was willing to take the risk, I didn't know how to find, like I saw you out front. It was just about 2:30 when I was pulling in, and I was
Right,
like, I was
right.
going to toot my horn and ask you guys where to park, but I was too
Oh,
embarrassed.
you should have. I parked on the main.
I mean, I said like passport car, like all those blue signs down there. Honestly,
Right.
I just didn't know where to go.
Yeah, you should have.
Shame on
Like,
me, because I even left
it was a
work
great
early.
opportunity. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great. It was great seeing you. You should have.
All right, I'm sorry.
No problem, Briggs. thank you very much for that report back. I know the parking's really funny along there, Julie. You know, there's like two
Right.
spots, if you know where they are.
I could see now finance committee member gets towed, you know what I mean? I would have been filling back to town. No, just
But, you
kidding.
know, Rig, I'm glad you went because, you know, unless you had actually been through the old fire department, it's really hard to understand how bad it really is and how antiquated it really is. It's amazing that they can do their job out of there. How they even get the trucks out of there and into the square, I don't know.
Right. And let me just share this last point. To your point, Nate, you know, obviously these men and women are, they're savvy, crafty people. So if something breaks down, they themselves fix it. Right. And that's actually, you know, there's a pro and a con to that. Because if you're constantly fixing things, you know, then the thought is, well, you're good, right? You have no issues. So, you know, I think at this point, you know, they shouldn't be in a position to be fixing, you know, their own building. So yeah, so it was just interesting to see that and hearing it directly from the chief to say, hey, you know, we tend to fix our own things around here for whatever reason, but yeah.
Right.
Thanks
Thank
for
you, Rig.
sharing that, Rig.
Yep,
Very cool.
Appreciate it.
Thank you
Yeah.
guys.
I was in Zoom meeting hell, so I couldn't join because it was, I think it was like in the afternoon or something, right? But I'm glad.
Honestly, I didn't even balance at the bank before I got there. That's how, so much for finance committee member. I was like, I gotta go.
It's a nice ceiling there, Julie.
Yeah, isn't it? Somebody got an extra $20 out of me. I don't know who.
Yeah. So our next meeting would be scheduled for the April 13th, right? Josh, am I correct on that?
Yeah, so we'd have new business referred next, after next Tuesday's town council meeting.
Okay, all right, so 13th, I will not be around, so Eric, hopefully you could head up the team on that one. I'll be heading out of the country then. All right, does anybody else have anything else for this evening?
Can I just make a comment?
Sure, go ahead, Susan.
I just wanted to react to MJ's comment earlier. MJ, thank you for holding us to task and accountability about behavior. If I was any part of that, I do apologize. This is a topic that I actually very politically vocal about. Although, like obviously, as you can see from the vote, I did vote yes, because I do still want the tax revenue. I do want to say though that I actually think this group has been really great to listen to and work with. I love the fact that we have a lot of discussion with this group, and clearly this, you know, is a bit of a hot button for that particular topic, is a bit of a hot button, and you know, it's actually really great to have the different perspectives. So I just wanted to thank folks for that, for the discourse, and again, apologies if I was any part of that interruption or anything like that, but you know, like I said, I do appreciate all of it in a way though. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Susie, and I do agree with you. I think at the end of the day, we have a great group here that work well together.
Yeah.
Democracy at its finest, right?
Even
Volunteer
when we
citizenship.
disagree. Yeah.
Right? Volunteer citizenship. Okay, great. Anything else?
Motion
We
to
have-
adjourn.
Thank you, Rick. Second from MJ. Josh, if you could do a roll call for us.
Nate,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Julie,
Hey,
Chris,
Aye.
Susie,
Aye.
MJ,
Aye.
Rig,
Aye.
Kathy.
I,
Thank you. The motion was approved. Meeting adjourned.
Thank
Okay,
you guys.
thank you,
Safe travels
everyone.
again, Nate.
Aye.
Yeah,
Aye,
thank you,
everyone.
Rick.
If
Yeah,
you want more
Great
fun,
vacation.
if
Take
you want
care.
more
Bye.
fun, the planning committee is reviewing the master plan.
Hey, wow.
If
sounds
anybody else
awesome.
wants to jump onto another meeting.
All right, thanks, Susie.
thank
Okay,
you.
bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
All right,
Bye.
take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.